News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM. It's 93.3, y'all. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. I heard on Fox for Brett Baer, there's a fill-in gal. She was saying that this is the second day of the Hunter Biden trial. It is not. Yesterday was the void wire. They did the jury pool and picked it. To me, that is unequivocally not the trial. The trial started today. The opening arguments were presented today. The witnesses were starting to be called today, and it's really interesting and profound what's happening. And I also have some really bad news. I'm going to whiz right in your Cheerios immediately. And unfortunately, this time, I'm going to grin while I do it. Just kidding. And I'm not going to whiz on your back and tell you it's raining. I will no longer make references to whizzing for the rest of the show, at least for not this topic. You have a tremendous amount of people on the jury who know the Bidens. The town of Wilmington apparently is only 70,000. It is very small, and jurors have said, in prospective jurors during void wire have said that it is so small that if I can't remember what it was, if a tree that falls, everybody knows it hit, something like it, everybody hears it or something of that nature. And they know the Bidens. One of the jurors that was selected says she is an acquaintance of not a Dr. Jill Biden's, who was conspicuously wearing a near fluorescent purple blazer to scream, "I'm here! I'm here! Can you see me? I'm over here! I'm a doctor! I'm in charge of the COVID vaccines! I'm a physician. Hey, that's my son-in-law there. You stay away from him." During one of the part, but anyways, one person is a Secret Service. One juror is a Secret Service member who is no longer former Secret Service, and her husband is a current Secret Service. Guess where? Hey, take a guess if you're Secret Service and you're active and you live in Delaware. Guess who you're guarding? Take a guess. I have a friend. Now, they rotate Secret Service. I have a friend who is Secret Service in the Metroplex, and they always rotate him. Sometimes it takes 2 extra years to get him on the scheduled shift, and he lives in the Dallas metropolitan area. Guess who he's guarded before for like 6 years? Take a guess, producer Garrett. Garrett 2. The real one, not the fake one over there. Go ahead, sir. Yes, well, there's only one Bush that was a president, and the other one passed away, so one of the Bushes. Yes. I don't know if former First Lady Laura gets one, but yeah, I mean, it's the one who's a president. Yes, correct, sir. Yes, you are correct, sir. So, gee, what do you think? Guess what? When the juror said that I'm former Secret Service and my husband is Secret Service and we live here in Delaware metropolitan area of Wilmington or tiny metropolitan area. Yeah, guess who smiled? Ashley Biden, the sister of Hunter. I wonder why she smiled, according to reporters. Also, you have many African-American women who are the most, when I was panhandling undercover as a talk host in Atlanta, the most kind-hearted and forgiving and generous people who gave were the African-American women. They have a tremendous spirit of forgiveness and second chances and compassion. And I think this is all going to come together for all the reasons I've laid out to give him what's called jury nullification. I didn't know fully what jury nullification was. I had to look it up. Do you know what it is, guys? We all are familiar with it some way. We know it means the jury's not going to convict. Jury nullification this is insane, but it happens all the time. Jury nullification is where you know he's guilty based on what the law says, and you should convict, but you don't because you're like, you know what? As a juror, I have power, and I'm going to be a social justice warrior for change. How much do you want to bet Hunter's going to get off? And guess what? If he gets off, you will have a fire lit under, I think, the Trump campaign in a good way they'll get even more approval ratings. It'll be Joe's son gets tried and gets off. Trump gets railroaded and gets convicted. You watch. All right, here's my questions. Do you think the Biden family influence in Delaware and Hunter's sob story, because that's what they're doing now? I'll explain more in a minute. Do you think the Biden family influence in Delaware and Hunter's sob story will get him acquitted of an obvious crime, a.k.a. jury nullification? And do you have compassion on Hunter in this case because of his addiction? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Lines wide open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Chime in right now. Lines wide open for you. Do you think the Biden family influence in Delaware and Hunter's sob story is going to get him acquitted of an obvious crime? And do you have compassion on Hunter in this case because of his addiction? Because that is the entire thing. They're playing this oh my gosh, this poor addict. Oh yes, there's so many bad things. Oh, he didn't sign the document. No. They rushed him into buying the gun. Yes, no, they rushed him into buying the gun. No. He just walked in on a whim and they're, oh, you gotta buy a gun. This one. All right, get out, take it out. Oh, we'll fill it out for you. You just sign right here. At some point, Hunter's, this is all part of the game. This Abby Lowell, who is his defendant or his attorney, and is one of the best in the country for these kinds of matters. This Abby Lowell is obviously telling them what to do and how to play the heartstrings. Women, you come. Men, don't come. Women, you cry. As what Ashley Biden did. She smiled when she saw yesterday during Void Wire that the Secret Service agent, former Secret Service agent who has been Secret Service here in Delaware, she smiled. And then today she was crying. And Nada Dr. Jill put her arm around her. Oh my gosh! Harley, come here! Are you crying? Are they seeing this? Are you crying? Oh, you poor... Oh, no, they're making you cry! Oh! Women crying, sad, comfort. Jury nullification. And it's the Bidens. Their names are all over the federal buildings. Let's take this for a moment. Are you ready? I think you're going to have this jury nullification. And you know who really has been trumpeting this and who I really, really respect, and many of us do? Jonathan Turley, liberal Democrat who publicly called for the impeachment of Bush during Iraq, but tells the truth about all these things Trump with all these cases and how bogus they all are. Every one of them, except for the documents case. That was the one he says could put him in serious jeopardy, but that's put off till after the election. So it won't happen. But, and there's all sorts of stuff in that too, by the way, but it's not the time right now. So that's the big thing. I think they're going to know that he's guilty completely under the eyes of the law. And they're just going to say this is jury nullification. We know we need to, quote unquote, by the law, but he's a victim and we know the Bidens and we can't do this. They're so wonderful. Oh, they brought so much to this town, this community, and he's just a victim. All right, I'm going to give you more details coming up next. I have, why did one of the jurors drop out on their own volition today? I'll tell you why. Also, what else did Hunter Biden buy with his gun? Two things he bought with the Colt Cobra gun. He bought three things that day. Yeah, he was rushed, all right. They're literally trying to say they rushed him into buying this gun. It's totally untrue. All that, the facts that came out today verify it. And did you hear? You probably did by now, but if you didn't, Hunter Biden's laptop, I'm going to tell you how many times and by which entities it was verified and how it was introduced. It's fantastic. And is it in the one in California too? What Joe Biden said, it's a bunch of garbage in the debate 4 years ago. And 51 former intel agencies, top ones, who are still, as far as everybody knows, they still have security clearance, TSI, top secret type clearance. Of course they did. This way they can continue to lie for Joe and keep him in office. All right, that's all coming up next. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Okay, 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Chris Crock show on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. Okay, Do you actually think the Biden family influenced Delaware and Hunter's sob story and sympathetic type jury that they've gotten will actually get him acquitted of an obvious crime via jury nullification, which is where the jurors know that he's guilty and it's proven beyond a shadow of a doubt, but they're like, this guy, I'm going to be the justice here. I'm going to spare him. I think that's going to happen. You know what, though? That could really redound to our benefit. I like to use big words. Redound. How? Well, I thought about this today. I'm not some genius, but I just thought about this, and this has got to be true. Maybe you disagree with me. I want you to respond to my theory. Watch this. My theory, Professor Kroc, speculates that the country will see Hunter Biden obviously is guilty. Nobody thinks he's not guilty. And they're also seeing the laptop is real if they watch Fox News or mildly conservative news or honest news. Now, they will see Hunter Biden guilty as all get out. Maybe they feel sorry, maybe they don't, but they know he's guilty, right? And he will get off. Trump, who most people understand is railroaded unless they're blindly anti-Trump, which they're not going to change, that's fine. Trump was railroaded and Trump was convicted. Hunter was guilty as all get out and was not railroaded. He railroaded himself and he got off. Don't you think that's going to end up really helping Trump even more? We're seeing so much. We're going to talk about this in a little bit in the next hour, but because Trump he's possibly looking at, Virginia is now in play. The Hill said that, holy crap, Virginia is now in play. Biden won by 10 points, and it's now, I believe, statistically tied. So Governor Glenn Youngkin was on. He was talking about this. I'm telling you something. This could backfire. And if you want to comment on that, too, we're going to hit the trial stuff in a little bit with Trump. But Hunter Biden's laptop, infamously, by the way, our number, I want to hear from you right now. What do you think about my theory? This could light a fire. He's going to be found innocent, I strongly believe, unfortunately. And the country's going to be outraged that he's innocent and Trump's guilty. And one was railroaded and one got off. I think this is going to help Trump even more. Do you agree with my theory? And do you think the Biden family influence in Hunter's sob story is going to get him acquitted of this obvious crime? And do you have compassion on Hunter because of his addiction? I don't, because he chose it, and then he also knowingly signed documents. If he murdered somebody or raped somebody or killed somebody, would you want to not charge him because he was high? No. 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. Hunter Biden's laptop verified by the FBI publicly, and they held up the laptop, and in fact, they said, yes, this is authentic. In fact, how they supermatched it was not just the forensics from the FBI, but also guess what they did? The actual serial number on it from Apple matched what Apple's records were. You can't make this up. How would they come up with the serial number if they didn't know who, you know what I mean? This is all completely obvious. And so now Joe Biden is caught in a lie. Antony Blinken, Joe Biden's top guy, coordinated all of this. He was the one that coordinated the 51 former intelligence officials. Hey, we want to say this. We want you to sign on to this. Here's what we want the letter to be. He was in charge of Joe Biden's campaign. He was one of the top ones. So he coordinated it. Biden, that means Biden coordinated it. It's all rigged like everything from Biden. Guess what else? You know the Los Angeles case, the California case with the tax evasion, which is coming up soon in like maybe, I don't know, several weeks to a month or so. That one is the laptop's also in that evidence in there. I mean, everything on the laptop is now officially real according to the United States FBI and Biden Justice Department. So what that means is the big guy in 10% is real. And he's never explained that. And it's real. There you go. Nailed. Hunter talks about his addiction within these messages. They listened to Hunter's memoir. Did you hear this? I have it. Here it is. Okay, let me turn that up. Here we go. This is Hunter's memoir. They played this in court.
Crack takes you into the darkest recesses of your soul, as well as the darkest corners of every community. I'd done it everywhere I'd been in the last few months. I could get off a plane in Timbuktu and score a bag of crack.
Now, they played that, but they also had all this testimony. They're going to bring in Hallie Biden, and she very well might be PO, but Joe did a good job. He visited her. He's never visited her at her house ever before. He did it 8 days before the trial, so he made sure that was okay. Hey, we got your back. Don't be saying nothing bad about my son. Hunter's ex-wife, Kathleen Buell, and remember the baby mama that he and Joe Biden and not a Dr. Joe refused to acknowledge, that little girl? London Riley, whatever her name is, London something, from the stripper that Hunter bedded down with, he hired as his assistant, had relations with, and fired and disowned. She's testifying too. And they're bringing in James Biden, the brother of Joe, and guess what? He's a character witness. They shouldn't have done that, because now all the character witness stuff is open on Hunter being a deadbeat dad, a dirtbag. All sorts of stuff is wide open. Judge Janine Perot made that point today. All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. And by the way, Juror dropped out even though she was selected because it was an hour drive, and she said, I can't do that every day. It's too much. Yeah, great job. Thanks. I'm glad for your dedication. Get out of here. You're fired. You don't get to quit. We fired you, Juror. Get out of here. You're fired. You're going to be fine. You ain't getting your $6 today. All right, coming up next on the Chris Crock Show. This is a fun time. Illegals. Joe Biden's executive order coming out today, but you're not going to believe how many millions of illegals will still be allowed in per year under this. It's a joke. You're not going to believe it. That's next. And why did he wait more than 3.5 years instead of 3.5 months from when he did that? Next. Well. News Talk 820 WBAP. Now I'm on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Well. Let's hear what fake news CNN's Harry Enton, their top pollster, said today that is alarming.
Immigration is the nation's top problem. Back in May of 2020, it was just 1% of voters who said that. Look at where we are today, May of 2024, the last poll conducted by Gallup. It's up to 18%. Back in June of 2020, Biden was actually trusted more on the question of border security and immigration by a single point. Look at where we are in May of 2024. My goodness gracious. Look at this huge jump that Donald Trump has gotten. He is now ahead on this issue by 27 percentage points.
What do you do when you used to be ahead by 1 percentage point with the illegal immigration issue, or the immigration issue writ large, and now you're 27 points behind? What do you do? What could Joe Biden do? I mean, we know why he's 27 points behind. It's because he's let in millions and millions and millions of illegals. So what do you do? Remember, he said, I don't have the power. Give me the money. I need Congress act. I don't have any power. Give me the money. Remember what Alejandro Mayorkas said? His pedo-voiced DHS secretary who talks like this about within a month or so or less. He was on one of the fake news channels, I think on MSNBC. And here's what he said. He was so excited. He was almost chuckling.
I'd like to understand from you what Trump-era immigration policies have been banned, ended, reversed, and if any investigations are underway by you.
So we have rescinded so many Trump immigration policies. It would take so much time to list them.
Oh, there's so many. Just like the kids over there at the school. There's so many. You know, it's not complete, my impersonation of his pedo voice, without my wild eyes, as I'm doing it into the camera on the Chris Crock Show Facebook page. At Chris Crock Show. At Chris Crock Show. So what do? You do this.
Today, I'm moving past Republican obstruction and using the executive authorities available to me as president to do what I can on my own to address the border. I'm announcing actions to bar migrants who cross our southern border unlawfully from receiving asylum. The simple truth is, there is a worldwide migrant crisis. And if the United States doesn't secure our border, there's no limit to the number of people may try to come here, because there's no better place on the planet than the United States of America.
Isn't this amazing? Finally, somebody's willing to take some bold, courageous acts. Joe Biden's going against his party in this. They're so angry at him. Arr. I'm glad that somebody cares about stopping illegal immigration, and it's Joe Biden. Sorry. Excuse me. Sorry. Let me tell you this. Take a guess, producer Garrett. how many illegals Joe Biden says, well, we'll stop it at 2,500. No. Has to be 2,500 or more for 7 days straight before it kicks in. Guess how many of the illegals flying in he'll keep doing? I don't know if this is per year or more, but it's 300,000. There's so much more that's happening. None of this is going to get stopped. And guess what? All these other countries where they won't receive you because they're being dumped on us, like Venezuela and Cuba, they won't take them back, and Joe's not sending them back. So hold on. Guess what the number's actually going to be per year, Producer Garrett? Because I'm cracking down. I'm taking action that I said I couldn't do. And I'm waiting till 5 months for the election after 3 years and 7 months, more than 3.5 years. Take a guess how many illegals are going to be allowed to run into this strong proposal or strong executive action. Go ahead. 500,000 per year? Try 1.8 million. Is that okay with you? Is 1.8 million illegals invading? And that's not including the gotaways. Does that sound like we're shutting down the border? I'm tough. It's all Trump's fault. All right, what do you think? That's it. It's laid out. Do you think Joe Biden's new executive order is going to stop this illegal invasion? Do you support letting millions of illegals get... Oh, I didn't tell you this. He has let millions of illegals get work authorization. He's more than 3.3 million illegals have been given employment. 3.3 million of Joe's illegals. My questions are you okay with them getting amnesty, all these illegals? Because he's actually throwing their cases out and just letting you be an illegal here with no paperwork, no orders to do anything. You're here as an illegal. You came over like an illegal that came over 20 years ago. All right, you have no status, but you can work, and I'm not going to come after you. So the questions are, as Dwayne would say, do you think Joe Biden's new executive order will stop this illegal invasion? Do you support letting millions of illegals get legal work permits, as he's doing? He's already been doing millions, quietly hiding it. Are you okay with these illegals getting amnesty, too? Because millions of them are also getting their cases thrown out, so they're just here permanently. And then do you think Mexico's president, I'm going to tell you all about her coming up next, but do you think Mexico's president is going to be just like the current one, just another voice for the cartels? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. So the Joe Biden plan will allow 1.8 million illegals, and according to Fox News this afternoon, Jesse Waters quoted that statistic. And it's a pretend plan. And guess what else? My buddy, my conservative lawyer / radio guy who used to fill in for me, who's now syndicated, Eric Erickson, wrote today that this is. He talked about Dick Morris. Do you remember him? Filthy Dick Morris. Dick Morris. He was Bill Clinton's pollster. And what he said is, we did polls not to tell us what to do like Joe Biden does. That's why he came out and he decided to change his mind, because he lets polls to dictate his policy. He said, Filthy Dick Morris he said, we don't ever change our policy based on polls. We just change our messaging about our policies. That's what Filthy Dick Morris did, and it won for Clinton. Got Clinton victories, double victories. The second one even greater by a greater margin. Not Joe. Joe literally changes the policies. And this is all fake. And guess what else he knows? This same policy Trump did but was overturned. And Joe Biden already knows it will be overturned. But he knows that the ACLU and all of his liberal friends are mad at him, but they're pretending to be mad because they're going to sue him and they know it's going to be stopped. But Joel said, look, I did it. I took the actions you told me. I took some definitive. We need Congress. We need comprehensive amnesty reform. There you go, my friends. 800-288-WBAP. Chime in right now. Lines wide open for you. Do you think Joe Biden's new executive order is going to stop this illegal invasion? Do you support letting millions of illegals get work permits, which Joe's already done? And guess what else the full number is? Since Joe took office, this year he's given 3.5 million, almost exactly 3.5 million illegals work permits. All these illegals are now going to be able to work. Guess what else? The previous year, 1.4 million. When you add 3.3 million from this past year, and then 1.4 from the previous year, Joe Biden, out of all these millions and millions, over 10 million illegals by my count, and the experts I've heard over on Fox over the years, Joe has given 5.7 million illegals a worker's permit, even though they're not supposed to. He's violating the way that those are put out, the laws on that. And he's had them come in. We're paying for everything for them because they can't work. And then he's literally allowing them to steal the jobs from people that are the most vulnerable, to drive down their wages. He's imported 6 million people that he's already authorized, basically, if you round it, to illegally work here and hurt jobs and hurt pay for people that are less fortunate, whether they be, there's a lot of African American and Hispanic people that are less fortunate, and they're going to get screwed the most out of this. And they're the ones screaming even like more vocally at a lot of these things in Chicago, for example, because all these people are being dumped. These illegals are being dumped in their neighborhoods. They're being put in their schools. They're being put where they have their programs and their rec centers and family centers that are free for people that are less fortunate in the cities. So this is all a disgrace. And then as far as the ability to giving them de facto amnesty by throwing out their cases, I'll give you the numbers on those next. I also want to tell you what Bill Melugin wrote, what happened at the Yucumba border last night, which is the highest point of the illegal invasion because Texas has cracked down. In fact, all the illegal smugglers and the cartels on the websites, on the Telegram channels, particularly for Turkish people, they say, you got to hear what they write on those. They're bringing in 15,000 Turkish so far this year, when the previous years it was like 1,000. It's everything, and that's a special interest country, meaning terrorist friendly. President Erdogan is friendly to a lot of Islamist countries. Now, next, I'm going to tell you all about that. I'm going to tell you about how Joe Biden is. Not only has he done the workers' permits illegally, I'm going to explain how what he's done is illegal. I'm also going to tell you how he's given them amnesty illegally, and what I think of Mexico's new president and why it's a joke in that regard. That's next on the Chris Crock Show. Our number is 800-288-WBAP. That's 800-288-9227 on News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. Okay. Bill Melugin, Fox News, said he was on the border at Yucumba, California last night. And he says in no way can Biden's executive order be described as shutting down the border. It bans asylum to some illegal crossers with some exceptions. It does not stop or slow the up to 1,500 illegals per day released in the U.S. via CBP-1. So we will have 1,500 a day from the CBP-1 app, and that's not the 2,500 that are allowed in. Do you see what I'm saying? So 2,500, and by the way, it can be 12,000 every day for like 6 days, and that will not qualify. It has to be over on the seventh day. If it's below 2,500, it won't be stopped. So you can have 12,000, 15,000 a day for 6 days, and on the seventh day, you could have 2,000, and it won't be stopped. Do the math. But what this does is it allows a total, according to Fox News today, 1.8 million. Fox News, Jesse Waters on the 5. 1.8 million illegals to flood us every year. And Joe Biden says he's shutting the border down with this crap. By the way, Bill Melugin said, there's more from Melugin, but he said at 1:30 this morning, we witnessed an enormous mass illegal crossing of hundreds of illegals from around the world in Yucumba, San Diego County. He says we counted men from Mauritania, which is a terrorist-friendly nation. That's a special interest country. You cannot come in without getting background checked and everything. Nepal, India, China, Vietnam, and many others. No Mexicans, he says. I will quote my son and his friends that have a joke. China has a wall. It's about Trump. China has a wall, and it has almost no Mexicans. Funny one. Paul and Denton, you're on News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hello, Paul.
Yeah, hey, I've got and I know I've heard this subject before on there, but I think, if Trump wins, there's a good chance we may have control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. And if they do this, they need to go after the laws on how the census is counted. I mean, this will pull the rug completely out from under all of this immigration.
Because that's what this is. That's exactly right.
Yeah. you watch how fast the unions shut the border down, if there's not an election element involved in it. And they need to go after this like a ferocious lion attack.
I agree.
They need to do this.
56% of Americans want mass deportations. And illegal immigration for 3 months has been the highest issue. I think it's the AP or the Gallup poll, one of the two. And it's the highest, it's the longest and amount that any issue has been the number one issue, period. And for 25 or 27 years since they've been doing this poll.
Yeah. I mean, we need to put an end to this stuff, that's the way to do it.
Now, so do you think Joe Biden's new executive order will stop the illegal invasion his illegal invasion?
Absolutely not, because he's only shutting down the legal part of the border. I think the illegals will keep pouring over.
Now, remember, though, he's not shutting down the legal part. He's still allowing. Now, it's not 2,500 a day or under. It is 7 days in a row of being over 2,500, and then he'll stop and go down to like 1,500 for a week or two or something, and then go right back up. So you can have 12,000 for 6 days, and on the seventh day go below 2,500, and it won't trigger. I mean, and by the way, so you take 1,500 per day. 1,500 per day still allowed. What's 1,500 times 7? That plus well over 2,500 for 6 out of 7 days. It doesn't stop anything. Mnuchin also says it doesn't stop the 30,000 illegals per month flying directly in. So that's 360,000 a year. From Cuba, Haiti, Nicaragua, and Venezuela. And then unaccompanied minors still exempt. They can show up with no parents, no nothing. They can be child trafficked and such. Illegals can also claim fear and attempt to avoid deportation. All of them will still be allowed without any issues. That's it. And then no explanation, Mnuchin says today, about how the administration will be able to begin mass removals of illegals coming from another hemisphere with governments that don't cooperate with the U.S. This is a disgrace. It's a joke, and he knows it's going to be struck down, but he's doing it to look tough, and he wants all this amnesty. Thank you for your great call, Paul. By the way, do you think this New Mexico president will be just like the other current one, or just another voice for the cartel, like Mexican AMLO is?
Probably just another cartel voice. I mean, you know how that is down there. Yeah,
she is she's selected, handpicked one from AMLO. So that means she will be a friend of the cartels. All the billions they're making, cartels are making over $1 billion a month, and they have been since Joe Biden opened the borders up. And the cartels are going to be still in charge of the amount that come over every day. They're going to be even have more orderly now that Joe has this so-called spigot that won't even be enforced. Okay, and coming up next on the Chris Crock Show, News Talk 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. I want to tell you that we're going to get into, this is big. You know all that food that you probably threw away, or lots of us did? I mean, lots of us did, including myself. There's a lot of people that struggle to throw away the food and are asking for help or saying they can't afford this, including a grocery store clerk that helped me, and his amount that he lost is so small compared to mine, and he is very dismayed by it, and that told me a lot. I want to talk about that with you. Like, how much food did you end up throwing out? What did you estimate the costs of that food to be? And by the way, I had to make up an estimate on that in the fly yesterday, but I can tell you some things. I wanted to share my experience for that, and how hard has this been for you financially to throw all this stuff away, and maybe you didn't get reimbursed, and does your insurance cover the food loss? What I want to share with you don't want to miss is next.